I know my paperwork is falling. I'm gonna put the camera on you,
Okay.
so you can go ahead and intro us in.
Welcome to the intro to the crazy. What is the name of the group again? Intro to the crazy. The what?
um, it is our intro to the wonderful and crazy world of anime hangouts.
Hangout. I think this is number 11.
Yeah, we're on number 11. I'm once again in bad dub mode. Like I'm in bad, like Chinese, Japanese, like kung fu movie bad dub. So,
It's fitting.
right. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over to you. You
Okay.
want to start? We're doing episodes 17 through 19 on Cowboy Bebop today.
Hmm.
I think Leandre said he would
Yeah.
join. Jeremy
Uh,
said he would join at some point.
Dave had said
So
he wanted an invite.
yeah, I sent Dave an invite, but he's already in the group, so I don't
Okay.
know. And I sent him an invite as well.
Okay.
So I don't know. Um, I can try to invite him yet again. And Leandre says that he's coming on
Yeah.
shortly. I just got that
Okay.
message. So I posted the invitation to him directly.
Mhm.
So you want
Okay.
to open us up
Seven,
with episode
seven,
17?
17. Do you have the name for this one? I don't generally take down the names.
I did not take the name
Okay.
down, but
But
I
basically,
called it I called it everyone's having a shroom party.
basically, the Bebop has run out of food. Even this mysterious ration box that Jet's been saving is now empty. I would love to have found out what's in the box.
Well, we do know one thing that the rations
Mhm.
are a year old.
Yeah. So probably
And
not very good anymore if they were there.
yeah, I don't think anybody should be eating stuff that's a
Mhm.
year old. But okay, so this is a funny fact or maybe a terrible fact.
Mhm.
I don't know. But there's this show that I told you about before called The Fung Brothers,
Yeah.
and I'll send you the link. They're really really funny. Fung Bros comedy. Um, and one of the things they have in it is that you go in, you have Asian parents, if you go into the fridge and there's like expired stuff. So yeah, like I told you, I went to visit my parents this week
Mhm.
because my dog passed away. So um and we were going through my parents' fridge and we just happened to like find something, and then it was like, this expired like last year in September or something.
Mhm.
And my mom's like, oh, it's probably still good. And
Recently
so,
saw recently saw a video of a century egg.
oh yeah, no, I didn't.
I'll never be the same.
Would you eat it? A century-old
No,
egg?
no, 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 no. I could barely stand to look at it.
I fortunately have not had the pleasure to eat that, but at least I know the pig brains that I ate were fresh.
Hmm.
So
Back to
all right,
17.
back to 17.
So Bebop has run out of food, this is the only case I've ever seen of this, and I watch a lot of science fiction. A hit and run in space. They're hit and run.
Yes, I was so like I was sitting there going like, a hit and run in space? Like what? I didn't even think that would be possible.
Mhm.
And all the sci-fi I've ever watched, like I was really surprised that this is the first time I've really ever seen a hit and run in space. I mean, in Battlestar Galactica we don't have that. Firefly didn't have that.
There are occasionally collisions, but never a
Right,
hit
but
and
not a
run.
hit and run.
Yeah,
That's the big difference.
yeah. Which of course throws the Bebop off trajectory. They crash, and they end up on this planet with no food. Ed and I think Faye both go out to find food, although Faye really doesn't accomplish much.
What does Faye really accomplish?
Fair enough.
That's me.
So,
I mean,
so the episode mostly follows Ed, and it's the first Ed-centric episode since Jamming with Edward.
yes, yes. And I love the music that when Ed is walking around
Hmm.
the planet, Ed is just walking around and there's this like really 90s beat music that comes on, where I actually thought of TLC.
Yes, yes, I can see that.
Like, wow, that's totally taking me back there. But
Mhm.
it was
And I
pretty
just
funny.
and
Uh-huh.
I just loved seeing Ed wander because she doesn't just walk. She rolls, she crawls, she moves in a number of different ways.
Yes, yeah. She does handstands.
Hmm.
Like does handstands walking. Handstand walks
Yeah.
or something.
Hmm.
So, and I love that Ed. Okay, so remember we have established that Ed has more animalistic tendencies.
Right.
Hey, Leandre made it.
Oh,
There we go.
Roger.
Let me. Oh, he's not in yet.
Ah.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
Hello.
howdy.
Hello. Yeah.
Welcome to the 11th Hangout
Awesome. Yeah, I was
on
trying to get my
Friday the
camera. Yep, exactly.
13th.
Jason is so happy. He's like just, waving his machete around with joy.
Right. So we have just started talking about episode 17, and we're talking about how Ed is very animalistic, and she's literally sniffing the ground like Ein on her hinds, like sniffing around, and so it brings out more of that. Ed is not necessarily just a regular girl, as we know.
Exactly.
Just to roll it back a little bit, I loved the actual crash scene because they don't show the crash.
Yeah,
They hold on this sign saying Western World Development and with a lot number,
yeah.
and you just see the Bebop in the back. You basically see the vapor trail of the Bebop in the back as it's crashing.
Yeah, we don't actually get to see how they ended up crashing. We know that they're when they when they had the hit and run, it affected I think their navigation, right?
Mhm.
Right.
And
It threw them
so
off of trajectory. Yeah.
yes, it threw them off trajectory because they were going to Europa.
Mhm.
So and I love the female bounty hunter
Mhm.
with the huge fro. I love it. You know what she reminds me of? So there is an anime, Requiem for the Phantom Requiem,
Okay.
and there is one of the like gang members, like head gang members. She has like an assassin bodyguard chick, and she has this like crazy fro, and she's
Nice.
super badass. For some reason, I don't remember her name now, but
Mhm.
she popped into my head. I don't know, Leandra, have you seen Requiem for the Phantom Requiem?
No, no, I have not. But I will look it up.
Yeah, it's kind of dark. No, it is dark
Okay.
actually. It's
Definitely.
depressing too.
Perfect.
Huh?
It's
Perfect.
like already sold.
What?
That, that's right up my alley. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like you
good.
sold them on that.
It's good. It's definitely good. I would
Mhm.
say the ending is one thing that I always feel so there's actually an anime review guy that I watch pretty frequently called Glass Reflections.
Okay, Arcada. I watch him too.
Huh?
I watch him too.
Yeah, so and he's awesome and he always says the ending is paramount and I'm
Yeah.
totally for that. I'm in agreement of it completely. So, but for me that ending, it was very fitting. Anyway, I won't go into it, but yeah,
Mhm.
so check it out. So, I love that the police say that to her, "You're a cowboy," like all shocked that she's a
Oh,
bounty hunter.
yeah. And this is the first time I've noticed that bounty hunters in this universe are called cowboys, which explains the name of the show finally. I've never understood the name of the show.
You know what? I never realized that, and that totally makes sense now.
That's
With
the
Big
code name
Shot and
for
everything, it
yeah.
ties into it. Yeah, totally.
Because the crew of the Bebop have been called cowboys in the past, and I never quite connected it until this episode. As
Yeah.
bounty hunters in this universe, of course, the ship is the Bebop, so
Uh-huh. Huh. Well, that makes total sense. Um, and then I also like how she's just like, no, no, it's not me. Like Ed has just happened to be in the car because Ed is very resourceful. Ed is always thinking of, how to fix the situation essentially. And so Ed is starving, and so is Ein, and they're out looking for food. They find a watermelon, and they say,
A
well,
watermelon vendor.
right, sorry, a watermelon vendor, and then they say, well, maybe we can hitch a ride with this chick and get
And
some
they stow
somehow.
away in her trunks.
Yeah. So, where are we next?
Well, they stow away in her trunk. She gets pulled over. The cop decides they have to look in her trunk. They find Ed and Ein. The cops are about to arrest them, and Ed and Ein somehow get out of it.
I think they just walk away.
Yeah, I think they did, actually. No, I think
They're
they
too
did run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then swinging
situation.
melee.
Mhm.
They're like,
And
what? What's going on?
they happen upon this guy on the street eating a sandwich, and they ambush him because Ed wants the sandwich because she's starving and just will take any food she can get.
Yeah. I was half expecting Ed to like walk up and like grab it,
Mhm.
because
Well, he took the last bite just before
yeah, I
and
know.
that's what she
Like
was yelling at him for.
he was like, no.
And the mushroom vendor, the guy they attack, the mushroom dealer, I'll call him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
reminded me of a wrestler from the 90s. And I'm not really into wrestling anymore. I was way into wrestling in college. There's a wrestler in the 90s who worked for the WWF called the Godfather, who this guy really reminded me of. Like down to the hat and the hair.
Oh man, you got to send a link to that. Like that's awesome, The Godfather. So actually, I totally think I need to go back to like all of our hangouts and start doing like recaps or something. I don't know because we have so much information we go over, and then
Mhm.
like we only can piecemeal like here and there. So at some point when I actually have time to like sit down and do that, I will, and then I'll either post it up in the community or I don't know something. But anyway, I actually thought of he kind of reminds me of a Street Fighter character. Like I'm trying to remember. There you go.
Put a
Awesome.
link in the
Awesome.
chat
Thank
for
you.
the picture of the Godfather.
Is it? Did he
Yeah,
remind you more
totally.
like? Was he more like Dalsum like, or was he more like Saget like,
I mm, I'm trying to remember which one I'm thinking of.
or Bison?
Bison.
Whichever one.
Yes,
Okay.
that's who
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
thinking.
Okay.
yes.
Bison. Yes, 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 yes. I couldn't remember for a second his name, but yes, Bison. So yeah, he reminds me of Bison in some
Mhm.
ways,
Yes.
Cool.
like the mannerisms and the face, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I can get that vibe.
So
So they accost this mushroom dealer. Who deals in psychedelic mushrooms.
Right.
And
oh, while you're on that note, I absolutely loved how Ein turned into a squeaker toy.
yes.
Like
The trips were the best part of the episode, I think.
Oh yeah.
I love
Definitely.
that. Okay. So
He gets accosted by this other guy who is towing behind him on foot this coffin because he's out to kill somebody who he's going to put in the coffin. We find out it's the mushroom dealer,
yeah.
and the guy pulling the coffin along with him really reminded me of a character out of Trigun, but I don't remember if it's a
Yes.
specific character or just a type.
Oh man. I feel like okay. If you have a chance and you can look that up, but I was totally thinking Trigun as well.
Hmm.
I was thinking like we've seen his character, or who also reminds me of? Have you ever seen Gungrave?
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I've heard a bit about it. I might
Okay,
be
there's
kind of
there's a
combining it.
character it kind of reminds me of.
Okay.
I actually haven't finished Gungrave. I have to finish it,
Mhm. I
but
get that confused with Gunsword a lot. So which so
yeah,
it's a little tough to keep them straight. So anyway, there's a little exchange there, and Ed finds out there's a bounty on the mushroom dealer. So she decides she's going to get the bounty. So for most of the
Awesome.
episode, we have Ed chasing down this psychedelic mushroom dealer for a bounty, and
Yeah.
interspersed with her deciding to test the mushrooms that the guy had accidentally dropped on the crew of Bebop.
can we just talk about these trips? Like,
Mhm.
all right, not saying any specifics, but I can understand The stuff.
One scene was very Little Shop of Horrors. I will say that. You know, like you really trip out when your plant is talking to you. Seymour can attest to that.
Oh my god. And like when Faye is in the bathroom and she's just like looking at the toilet forever, just sitting there watching the toilet. It's just like the toilet's going away and it's going further and further and further away. It's awesome.
And her going
And
like Jacques Cousteau is just crazy.
yeah, and I was also so a friend of mine relayed a story to me one time about how she was very, very, very drunk, and she was so drunk that she couldn't actually remember how she got onto the stool, and the stool felt
Had a
like
few
it
of those
was
experiences.
this high, and the floor was that low, and so she's like, I can't get off the stool because if I get off the stool, I'm gonna fall like off the earth. So I totally could relate. I was like, oh, it was classic. It also reminded me of that '70s show,
Yes.
and you see all the swirls and everything, and
The
they're like
background just subtly moving.
yes, and Spike climbing their stairway to
Yes.
heaven. That
And
was
it was
awesome.
interesting that Faye and Spike's trips both kind of involved being trapped in a sense.
Uh-huh.
Faye was underwater, Spike was on this unending ladder,
Yeah,
Yeah,
whereas
good.
Jet was just sitting and talking to his plants.
yeah. There's a lot of introspective that takes place on each one of their trips, and you see it as the episodes progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, think about how now Jet has had to come to terms and really start communicating more
Yeah.
feelings and emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
he starts asking like, who am I to the plants,
Mm-hmm.
which was really interesting considering that, he just finished up the
Yeah.
ISSP betrayal that
Yeah.
he discovered,
So
a few
he
episodes.
just basically had to put his past behind him and figure out who he is again.
Exactly.
Whereas Faye and
Exactly.
Spike are basically still running from their past, as we find out in the next episode, specifically with regard to Faye.
Right.
So now we've got the guy who is chasing after the shroom dealer
Mm-hmm.
has a brain freeze. He's sitting there eating ice cream, and he notices Ed is trying to go after Domino is the name of the shroom dealer. And I actually, when Domino's on his ship, you could see he's just as tripped out as everyone else. He was he was sitting there like talking to his plants and everything too. I mean, if you're a horticulturalist and you tend to be someone who talks to your plants. Like
Yeah.
my dad he planted every single tree in my parents' house, and he sat there, I remember, and he would talk to his plants all day long. And I thought it was weird, but apparently they say it's good for your plants, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got the chase scene where Ed is going after Domino,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the chick with the crazy fro hair and the guy with the coffin who now no longer has his coffin, and they're all chasing this guy the guy with the coffin wants to kill him.
Yeah. And you've got two bounty hunters and an assassin basically after this guy.
Exactly.
And
So,
one of those bounty hunters is Ed, which makes it infinitely more interesting.
I know. It's funny because this is the first episode that we see Ed really participating
Yes.
in the bounty hunter practice. Like
Yes.
she's just stayed on the ship the whole time and let them do the bounty hunting.
Well, she's gathered information. She's been
Right. But she's not been physically involved in the actual chase. So, and I love the song that's being played. I think it's like Mushroom Heart Attack. It's like Mushroom Heart Attack, Mushroom something. Mushroom Heartache, Mushroom something. Like I was just sitting there going like, what is this song? It's
Actually
awesome.
didn't notice any words.
Yeah, like at some point it starts going Malaysia, Indonesia, 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 and then it's like mushroom heart attack, mushroom heart attack. Like,
It's like the words are more lending to the rhythm than the other way around.
Yes.
It's
right.
really instrumental. All right.
So, and then the train stop. So Domino jumps onto the train. Ed is jumping after him, and so is the bounty hunter girl and the guy with the
Who used to have the coffin.
huh?
The coffin guy.
Yeah, the coffin guy. And then her car flips and she's out of the picture, and then the other guy somehow gets thrown off the train and he lands on top of the bounty hunter girl, and Ed is there and she's like, I got you! And then the train stops because there's a cow
There's a cow.
in the middle of the train tracks.
Like, thank you, cow.
Yeah, like random. And of course, the train stops, and the cow and Ein are talking to each other, and Ed ends up on top of Domino. So, the next part of that I think is fantastic because we're back on the ship, and Jet is wearing all this lipstick, and he looks like a weird clown, and he's just like, he's holding he's holding the lipstick, and he's just like, what?
Right.
It's like he just came back from his trip, and Spike is standing there like, what? And Faye is just there with all the toilet paper, like, all around her, like, what is going on?
Completely.
And then, huh?
Completely tripping. I mean, like, they were just tripping balls off of those mushrooms, right?
I know. Like, I don't even know how, I mean, I wonder how much time lapsed between them tripping and between the return of Ed.
It seemed like it was a couple of days, but obviously it couldn't have been.
Right.
Yeah.
I
It's
would
kind of
hope
like
not, at least.
It's
Because they're
kind of like,
powerful mushrooms.
sensory deprivation where the time is altered. You're not going to have a proper perception of time,
Right.
and that time perception will be much longer than what actually
Mhm.
elapsed.
Yeah, definitely. So, then we find out that Ed was like, "Oh, I'll take the deal." Domino says, "Hey, you want to take these shrooms instead? It's worth like 100,000." And she's like, 100,000? Sure, I'll take those. Forget it. I don't remember how much your bounty was anyway. So we see the scene where they're going back, and Jet and Faye the police are actually coming up to them and saying, "Hey, you know, there's this guy and we're looking for him. He sold like a bunch of illegal shrooms and this and this and that." And then Edward tries to say, "Oh yeah, I know who he is," but then of course, you know,
They
Faye.
stop them because they're in possession of the shrooms.
Exactly.
Right.
And then Spike comes out with a bag full of shrooms, and we're thinking, oh great, they're in trouble. The police go to run a test on them to see if they're the psychedelic shrooms, and sure enough, they're only shiitake mushrooms.
Yeah. And I got the impression,
Holy shiitake.
I got the impression, particularly when he made the deal for to give her the shrooms to forget about the bounty. Ed was never really interested in the money. She just wanted to do what everybody else on the ship does normally.
Right.
She just wanted to chase down a bounty.
Yeah. I actually think Ed was more concerned about food. Like,
That's
the
true.
whole premise of everything is that they're trying to get food. They're starving. They haven't eaten for 2 days.
Well, yeah, and the mushrooms were food, sort of.
So, well, and not even that. She was thinking she could sell it off and get money, and then they could buy food. Like, that was, I think that was her main motivation as to why she did that.
And that's often Ed's motivation throughout the series.
Yeah. She has very simple motivation. Like, for instance, like we learned with when she was playing the chess guy, all she cared about was playing chess. She didn't really care about anything else. Like, it was just like, I'm busy playing chess. Like, I don't care about the other parts of it.
Yeah.
So, and I love that at the end, they just have bowls of shiitake mushrooms, make in all different sort of ways, like sautéed with this and mushroom soup or whatever. And it's really funny because the beginning of the episode, Spike says he wanted beef and bell
broccoli.
peppers.
Beef and bell peppers, that's it. Which is a
Right.
callback to the first episode.
Yes.
In which
Yes.
the beef in the beef and bell peppers was actually mushrooms. Because
Yes.
they didn't have any meat.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I sat there and I was like, oh, that was just a perfect way to like tie everything up. And I love Jet's preview going into episode 18.
I didn't watch the preview on this one.
Jet's preview, he's saying that the action is small and the ending is forced. And he's saying how basically it's so, like, for the lack of a better word, like, it's just really messed up that he's like saying that it's like the episode's so insignificant, and yet it's the opposite. The way he builds up the intro and makes it sound like it's not worth watching.
Yeah. Well, there isn't much that happens, and you could argue that the ending is a bit maudlin, but we haven't gotten to that one yet.
Well, we're now there.
Okay, if we're starting on it, all right. Episode 18. Basically, Faye. Well, the Bebop gets a delivery while they're on vacation. This package, small package for Faye. Jet tells Faye about it, and she darts because she's convinced it's one of countless people who could be trying to track her down because they need money.
As Faye likes to say, she says, "Too many people want a piece of me."
Exactly.
They open up the package and find out that it's a Betamax tape. Which I'm going to have something to say about once we're done with this.
Go for it.
Well, we'll get through the summary first.
Okay.
So the episode consists of Spike and Jet trying to track down a Betamax player while Faye is off running from whoever she thinks is trying to extract money from her. And that's basically the episode. They finally find it and they play a bit of the tape at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Faye was born in 94.
Just to timestamp that, right?
Because she had her accident in 2014, was frozen for so many years.
Yep.
I barely remember Betamax. I'm going to be 43 in a couple of weeks. Okay, Faye made that video when she was, what would you say, about 13, 14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2007, 2008, and she filmed it on a Betamax.
Well, now keep in mind, okay, so if we're going to timestamp technology, right, and we're going to say, well, that kind of architecture was defunct by that time. One thing you have to keep in mind is that even though it was around at an earlier time, it's conceivable that that technology could have still been usable. Like, I know some people who still have a Betamax in their storage area.
I've got some VHS sitting around.
Yeah. So although improbable, it's not really impossible to say that it wasn't around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know a DJ that still scratches strictly on vinyl. Like he only.
That is
That's
awesome.
a little different. Vinyl is immortal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I seriously love that you guys awesome. Vinyl is immortal. I definitely agree.
But videotape. There's nobody aside from maybe some people in my age, maybe a little older, who are nostalgic, who are going to try to argue that videotape is better.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't say all that, but yeah, no, I could agree with there being a possibility that
It's possible, yes.
Someone could have a Betamax somewhere. One tape, maybe a family recording or something,
Yeah.
Can we just bring out that the guy that they end up finding that can cover the Betamax tape
the collector, as I called him.
The thing that he says is 20th century TV was the best. Like, I had a good little laugh there because I thought that was, a little ode to them, a little ode to...
Oh, yeah. And did anybody catch what TV show they were parodying in the background?
No,
on that clip that he's watching on TV, did you know what he was referencing?
No.
90210.
Yeah, Beverly Hills
Was it
90210.
90210?
Yeah, Beverly Hills 90210.
That's awesome.
Can't make
That's
this stuff up, right?
It was practically
yeah.
a scene from the first episode.
Wow, that's awesome. And he was so into it. He was so like, oh my gosh.
And his little rant about the advantages of Betamax just so reminded me of like one of the next episode teasers from Bully Cooley, because Haruko says something very similar to that in one of them.
That's funny. And I love that Spike was just like, oh, well, my ship works better when I kick it. Because in the shop, Spike doesn't realize, the delicate nature of these players. And he just starts screwing around with everything. He's like taking the buttons off. He's like putting his cigarette butt into the player, just like, and he's sitting there, and then he starts kicking the player because it's having issues playing back the video. And he's like, well, my ship works better when I kick it, so why wouldn't that work?
Yeah, right.
And it's having issues playing back the video because in a previous scene he was just pulling it apart. What does this do? Just yanking the tape out.
Yeah, Spike doesn't know any better. I mean, Spike is clearly from 2071.
Exactly.
And so has no idea what that thing does.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that when after all of that, and then they realize that they screwed up and the tape doesn't play, the only place that there is a player for the Betamax tape is in Akihabara, Japan.
Nice.
So they're like, oh yeah, there's only one place to find it, and shows them that's in Akihabara. And Faye, Faye is now at the racetrack saying, oh, these guys. She was sitting there winning and winning and winning against the dog races, and then she says, oh, those guys were sucking up all my luck. So, but and then it's funny because towards the end of it, what Faye says again, but in the beginning of the episode, she was saying how it's time for her to do her famous disappearing act.
Right.
And now she's getting after the little break where we get the Cowboy Bebop insignia come out and then come back out. And I love that the insignia says like for the break there that it says breaking traditional styles, which I thought was really in a lot of ways. Traditional styles of television, traditional styles of storytelling, traditional styles of everything. So,
as we've talked about in a previous Hangout, this show covers just about every genre on the map.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it does it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that's always the key to a good anime, when you can cross over so many different genres and do it successfully.
Absolutely. Now we're back to Faye, and Faye is just said that it's time for her to do her disappearing act, and then she's saying those guys were sucking up all my bad luck, and now she's frustrated because she just finds out that they've left her and they've made a beeline for Earth because they're trying to uncover this Betamax tape. So she just was saying all this, and now she's already frustrated that they've left her and was like, how dare they do that? So and then I love that Jet's statement when they figure out where they have to find the Betamax tape, and says, I'm going to find out what's on this tape even if it kills me. And Spike says, well, it just might. Do you really think it's worth it? Now, I thought it was really funny because initially when I saw the preview and I was seeing that it was about the videotape, I was like, oh, it's the ring. It's the tape that kills you. And now Jet and Spike, when they get into this building, are being forced to rappel down the elevator shaft because the elevator is broken. And on top of that, the elevator almost falls on them.
There you go.
And then the
only action scene in the episode.
Huh?
Really, the only action scene in the episode.
Right, exactly. The fact that they're climbing the elevator and it breaks on them, and they're going through all this crazy flooding in this building to find the Betamax reader.
Right.
And Spike says that treasure hunts, it's a lesson that treasure hunts are always trouble. So I like that because it goes back to the beginning of the episode where Jet is telling Ed this story about a treasure hunt And when he opens the box, it's actually an old man. So goes to show like how much worth is it for a treasure hunt. And Faye now calls them again, and Faye is kind of getting lonely, and she actually says, well, I guess I should come back because they're lonely without me.
Of
So
course, because it's all about Faye.
right, and it's all the projection of Faye's feelings onto them. And she's also wondering if anybody's come back and tried to, any other debt collectors are coming for her, that sort of thing. So they go through all this trouble to find the Betamax reader, and they end up finding out that the players that they brought back are VHS and not tape. So they can't even watch the tape.
For those who may be a bit too young to know, VHS are about 2 inches wider, longer than a Beta.
In the Betamax.
A little bit thicker.
Right. Yeah,
So
so they will not. Well, now they did have an adapter.
Yeah, they were adapters.
Yeah, for Betamax. For those who do, like you said, are too young to remember. But yeah, without an adapter, yeah, you're not playing that tape in a VHS.
So lo and behold, fortunately enough for them, a package comes for Faye again, and of course, Jed is like, well, I'm not going to pay the surcharges for this. This is crazy. But Spike opens it up, and it's actually a beta player. So, boom, there you go. Now they can watch it. And now it is movie time on the Bebop.
And Jet insists that Faye pays the COD on the tape before she can watch it.
Yes. So it's kind of like she had to pay for her ticket in order to watch the movie. But lo and behold, the funniest thing is that the movie is about Faye. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I totally got a little bit teary-eyed when watching it because if you think about it, like if you were 10 years ago, and you had made a video to yourself, and I've had ups and downs, growing up, of course, and everyone does. So, to tell yourself, hey, it's going to be okay, like, I'm rooting for you, and don't lose me, which I thought was really important for Faye, because Faye really doesn't know who she is anyway, but for her to find her younger self, and for her younger self to root for her and say, whatever happens, of course I'm sure you're causing people trouble, but whatever happens, I'm here and I support you. I got a little bit teary-eyed for that because that was really sweet, It was a real sweet moment to have on the show, especially for a character as we don't really understand her story, and she doesn't understand her story either.
She doesn't know it herself, so
Yeah.
So, and the question I had is, who sent the tape?
Yeah. It has to be. It's been too long since I've seen these series. We don't have many episodes left. They never established that, do they?
I don't think they do.
They never established anybody who knew Faye before the accident, I don't think.
Right, I don't think they do. And
it would have to be somebody who knew her before the accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who would have had access to that tape?
Yeah.
That's the other question.
Yeah, now one thing, and again, this may be a very far leap, but Spike had, and just help my memory here, Spike had a lady who was running a bar on his homeworld, right?
Yeah.
She helped him out, right?
Was it Annie? Are you talking about Annie?
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
Annie? Okay. I was thinking that maybe there could be some kind of relationship between Annie and maybe a descendant of the girls that were in the video along with Faye.
Huh.
And, and maybe that could have sparked her to forward that tape out to Faye.
And Spike is connected to Bebop, right?
Yeah,
that would
exactly.
make it sense, because then they would know how to find Faye because she's on the Bebop,
Right.
Spike is on the Bebop. That I mean, yeah, that would be a good kind of guess
Mhm.
as to who did it.
Like if you wrote a fanfic, what if, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You may want to make that connotation known within your fanfic that, well, maybe there is a tie that was not
between
covered in
them,
Bebop.
Yeah.
Right, that maybe could explain a lot of how items either got to Faye or
Mhm.
Jet, or how all three of them got along with each other, how their paths
Yes.
crossed.
yeah. Yeah, because we don't really get into that. If I remember, like we haven't established how Jet and Spike met.
No.
Right.
We haven't established. I mean, Faye, we know how they met
Mhm.
because she was in the middle of conning someone,
Yeah.
and she just happened to cross paths with them. But we don't really ever have an establishment between Spike and Jet.
Mhm.
And we know that they've been together for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we actually know. So, which I like that there's not really a clear understanding of it because it leaves us to kind of interpret
Mhm.
what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Spike was involved with organized crime.
Yeah.
Jet was a cop. So.
So yeah, there
That's something that's weird.
definitely opportunities there. Yeah.
So, okay, now we finished episode 18, and now we're in 19. So I love this episode.
Mhm.
Because it just like it's a whole idea of the old things are still really good.
Mhm.
You know, between the previous episode being about
Yes.
Betamax tapes,
Yeah.
and now this episode being about rockets.
One of the best reveals I have ever seen in anything.
I loved it, absolutely loved it. We start off. Well, I'll do a quick summary of the episode. Spike is hitchhiking when we open up, and Spike is trying to hitchhike.
Because he crashed the swordfish.
Yes, exactly. He
It
crashed.
works better when he kicks it. I,
Yeah.
just, I can't help connect. It works better when I kick it, and the beginning of this episode where we see it crashed in a field.
Yeah, apparently not. I don't think it really works better when he kicks it, but he likes to think so.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are there with Spike, and he's trying to wait for the tow to Doohan's repair shop, because Doohan is the one who fixes the swordfish.
Just
And
real quick, I love that they named him Doohan. In
why?
reference to James Doohan, who played
James.
Scotty on Star Trek.
Exactly.
Ah,
Yeah. They lived
see,
in
I
cool
love
cities.
I love these I love these hangouts. Seriously, I mean it when I wrote it in the chat. Like I love you guys. Like I really do. Like you guys are like my homies. I don't know, whatever.
And I think we're also Rolling Stones fans. So for those that are, this episode was also
I
uh,
didn't catch. Well, I've never been a huge Stones fan, so I didn't catch it.
yeah, well, Wild Horses. Wild
Oh
Horses
yeah, I
is
knew.
is a
Yeah.
popular
Yes,
song.
yes,
Yeah, popular Rolling Stones
Mhm.
song.
yeah, and that was the name of the episode. And you know what I love is the preview. They used Ein this time in the preview, and Ein is like
Go
barking,
back and
barking,
look.
barking until Wild Horses, and I was like, what did Ein say? I've been trying to figure it out until I realized the episode's name, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay.
I gotta go back and watch the previews for half of these. I missed most of them.
They're fun. I like the previews because they're like that little snippet of comedy, or setting you up for something dramatic, like when Jet had his background that we found out about the ISSP. Okay, so I love that Ed says, let's keel haul the dirty scalawags. So
Mhm.
keel haul, I don't know if
Okay.
nobody knows what keel hauling is. There's actually, okay, there's a
You
great,
tie them to the outside of the hull of a ship.
yes, there's a great music video by this band called Ailstorm,
Mhm.
okay? And they're like pirate metal. And
Interesting.
the song is Keel Haul, that filthy landlubber sending down to the depths below. And then like it's all this like crazy pirate music. But anyway, check it out. Keel
I
Haul
just did a quick search on them. I just love the subtitle on their website. Bacon-powered pirate corps.
I love those guys. They're awesome. Them
I have to
and
listen.
there's another group I really like called Corpus Clowny, and they sing about vodka and beer, and it's awesome. Anyway, completely unrelated. I love these tangents. So Spike is trying to get his swordfish fixed, and
I
Doohan
love Doohan's introduction.
Yes.
Because Miles, his assistant, is the one who gives Spike a lift to the shop. They get there. Doohan walks out, and he's literally on fire.
Yeah.
The shoulders of his jacket are on fire, and he's working on this mysterious project that Spike just says is very old. And why are you wasting your time on it?
Yep. So and meanwhile on the Bebop, what we've got going on is Jet and Faye and Ed are all involved in trying to capture these starship pirates, which are like the lowest of the low on the criminal totem pole. Like they're just garbage, essentially.
Did they establish that there was a bounty?
Yes, there's a bounty on them. Yeah, because when we see Jet talking about the starship pirates, there's a picture of the three of their faces.
Oh, okay.
And the amounts that, if I remember correctly, there's the amounts. So
I get the feeling that Jet wasn't just after them for the bounty or revenge eventually when they mess up the Hammerhead, but it was also because he was a cop and he still has that sense of justice. He wanted to shut down these pirates.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that was part of it too. And I love that he was saying how he's using Faye as the bait. So Faye is out there just wandering around, in her ship, and she's the bait for these pirates. And very long story short, I'll try to summarize here. So Faye is the bait, and with Faye being the bait, they go after it. But the issue is that they inject a virus into the computers. So when they go after Faye, and then Jet comes behind her with the Hammerhead, and then you've got the Bebop also gets destroyed by this computer virus. All of them get destroyed by this computer virus, essentially, where their navigations are destroyed.
And there was a great touch there because they talked about it with the Swordfish and the Bebop. They mentioned the mono system.
Yes.
And it was just a rare moment on the show where they really do get into a sense of science fiction and where the technology will go. I just love that they named the navigation system the mono system.
Yeah. And it also, I like that in this one we also have real distinction rather between the old and the new, because you've got that part where Doohan is talking about a specific the specific part of the system. I can't remember the name of it now, but he's saying like, you can't force like the new into the old, and
we still don't know what he's working on.
Sorry?
And we still don't know what he's referring to, what he's working on. But,
right, exactly.
Like you're suggesting all of this newer technology, and why don't you work this into it? And he's saying it won't work with this, project that I'm working on.
Yeah.
But now one can infer, based upon the fact that he's such a Columbia shuttle buff. You know what I mean? That it has to do with maybe some older NASA architecture, maybe some of the old shuttle designs.
Yeah, we can infer that, but I personally was not prepared for that big reveal. So let's get to that. So they are talking to each other, and Spike finally calls and says, "Hey, I'm still here. Doohan's working on the Swordfish," and they said, "Well, we just got slighted by these pirates, and they've taken over our virus. No, I love that. Faye says we have bacteria. Jet's working on a bacteria.
Yeah.
And
She doesn't quite get computer viruses.
Clearly, she had no idea what she's talking about.
Right.
Bacteria, computer virus, same thing, right?
Right.
So then they both are talking at the same time because Doohan is talking to the guy who delivers his parts, and they both convene on a delivery truck, and they realize they're both talking about the same thing. Now, Jet is furious because they called his Hammerhead, which is an older ship, a piece of crap. And so he really wants to get these guys because they insulted his ship.
And they beat it up pretty bad.
Huh?
And they beat it up pretty bad.
They beat it up.
Yes, exactly. So they end up trying to devise some sort of system to get back at them. And they said, okay, well, we know that it's a delivery truck and it has a purple penguin on it. So we'll just go after the truck that has a purple penguin. Well, there's two trucks. So they decide they're going to both shoot both. They're going to shoot both trucks. And that actually ends up creating a situation because one of the trucks is actually a delivery truck. And the guy says, okay, we'll pay the parking ticket. I love that. So then we have Faye and Spike shooting at the pirate ship, and Spike went after the pirate ship. I loved the graphics of the ship itself.
Yeah.
Like, it was stunning. It was so beautiful. There are a couple moments that really stick out in your mind, and for me, this one was really just an awe of how beautiful in 1998 the art was.
Yeah.
I mean, just gorgeous, you know?
Yeah.
So then we see him going after this ship, and he's dodging all of the what is this called now? Big somebody take over here.
I'm trying to remember.
When Spike is chasing the ship and he's dodging
The rocket? Was it asteroids? I honestly
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. My brain just decided to not remember
It happens.
what it was called. So he's dodging them, and it pretty much looks like these. Where am I now? He's dodging them, and now he is stuck because he doesn't have any more gas, I think. And then, and he also had to shut off all his systems.
He's basically in free fall heading toward the Earth's atmosphere.
Yes.
Or the planet's atmosphere.
Right, and he had to shut off all his systems so that he couldn't contract the virus.
Yeah. And if he goes into the atmosphere, he'll fry, basically. He doesn't have the shields up.
Right, so he will burn up on re-entry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
cue the big reveal.
Yes, so Spike is on the radio, and he is telling Jet, hey, you know what? Have that old whiskey. It's hiding behind the fridge.
Yes.
I'm done. Like, that's it. I'm going in. I know that it's the end for me. Like, he's sitting there with his cigarette, just typical Spike fashion. And Doohan comes on the radio and says, well, you can give that whiskey to me. And he rocks out with a Columbia shuttle.
The Columbia.
Yes.
That he's been fixing up.
Yes.
Perfect. The artwork there got me, because it looked exactly like the Columbia. Except that was
really a true homage.
Except it has these tubes on the front of it that you don't really know what they are. And he starts taxiing down the road, which is a little odd because the wheels on the Columbia didn't work that way. They're like the wheels on a prop plane. They just spin freely. But, okay. And I'm thinking,
it works.
Yeah, he's got the afterburners going, and I'm thinking, how is he going to launch from a street? It's not a plane.
Right.
Turns out that there are rockets underneath all of these tubes that stick the nose up, so he can launch it like a plane.
It was awesome. That was fantastic. Um, and so he comes in, he saves Spike, and that's it. Pretty much, he saves the
Hmm.
day.
And I love that. I
Go
love
ahead.
that the episode began and ended with the swordfish getting wrecked. The
Yes,
first thing we see, and it's the last thing we see.
I know. And even Spike says it. He says, I just had a full overhaul on this thing, and now it's wrecked again. And you could see like I'm sure Doohan was sitting there going like, oh, I'm gonna have to fix this crap all over again. You know, but
Just echoing this sentiment.
yeah, exactly. And at the same time, when they're there and Spike gets into the shuttle, Doohan says, "Well, we're not out of the woods yet because what was it? They lost something, and something else wasn't working properly yet. So he's like, I don't really know how we're gonna get out of this." And then the final scene we see is the picture of Doohan, Spike, and Miles at the Columbia
Yeah.
shuttle. It's classic. I think it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, anybody have anything to add on
That
episode
covers all my
19?
notes. No, that covers all my notes.
Oh yeah, and Spike. I mean, in his classic nonchalant form and fashion,
Mhm.
you really get a sense of his, his just not really caring, going with the flow. Whatever happens, happens.
Well, and he has a line that really sums him up perfectly. I've never really been the delicate, cautious type.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Those two lines I think for me were the highlights of they just really tell you who Spike is
Mhm.
and the whole situation. He was just like so he's like whatever happens happens. It's not the first time he's said that too. He's said that before. Um I think when Faye was trying to navigate with Full Metal, Heavy Metal Queen,
Yeah.
Mm.
and he said, "Whatever happens, happens" to the Heavy Metal Queen, and or to Faye, something like that. So it's not the first time we've heard that.
Yeah.
He's said it multiple times
He
actually.
does have a bit of a death wish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that he's pretty interested in at least seeing how far he can go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, all right. So that's it for Bebop.
Mhm.
We can talk a little bit about, for the next 5 minutes or so for
I
Parasite.
finally, well, Parasite. I also finally watched. I can't understand what my husband is saying.
Did you
Awesome.
love it?
Finally caught up, loved it. There were
Is
two
it
gags in
awesome?
particular that got me, and it was one of those I would say too close to home, but it wasn't. It didn't bother me.
Uh-huh.
It was the finger pointing at me kind of a deal. When they walk out of the movie theater, I think it's in the first episode, and she says that was fun, and he goes on for about 5 minutes with his laundry list of complaints about it.
Oh,
I got into doing a movie review show because I'm that guy. I accidentally
Love it.
trolled a thread on Google Plus once talking about this show that came out a couple of years ago, Terra Nova, that Michael Bay produced, who I despise.
ah,
Someone posted that saying how great it was, and 3 or 4 people were agreeing, and they were, just having this love fest. Of course, I had to pipe in with, it was crap, and all the reasons why I thought it was crap. So yeah, I'm totally that guy.
Have you finished it?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
that's
hoping they do
awesome.
a season 2.
Huh?
I'm hoping for a season 2 because I want
There,
to see him try to raise a kid.
I saw there's going to be season
It's
two. It's
good,
confirmed. Hmm.
and
I wonder where they're going to go with it. I just think it's so funny because like so if anybody wants to find out what we're talking about, it's called I can't understand what my husband says
my husband
and
is saying.
or what my husband is saying. Thank you. I can't understand what my husband is saying, and it's basically all about a guy who is anime watching, very homey, like to the point that he doesn't like people, doesn't really have friends.
Basically, the stereotypical to the
Hikamori.
nth degree geek.
Yes, or like they would say
Otaku.
otaku or hikikomori.
Ikigamora more so, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it otaku? There's an implication with otaku of collector, and he's
Yes.
not really a collector. But the other
What?
gag, the
I
other
thought.
gag. Hmm?
Okay.
Yes. The other gag that got me was when they're talking to the little brother who looks like a girl,
Yes, I
and
love that.
Yes,
he's
yes.
saying, "Oh, I have lots of friends," and the wife
Have you
says,
watched it, Leandre?
Yes, and well, yeah, I've seen all of the episodes.
"Mm,
I love that show, and yeah, the main play that they make on several episodes is the fact that he has a brother who is actually feminine, like
yes,
he acts and his mannerisms are
mhm,
female. So
yes,
much so that he actually hooked his brother up with one of his friends,
mhm,
Yes.
more like a hiring editor. Yeah, and that just went off the rails, like
mhm."
quick, fast, in a hurry.
But I
For
love it.
me,
I love it
okay.
when the brother. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I love it when in one episode when the brother says, "Well, I have lots of friends," and the wife says, "On the internet,"
On
because
my anime list.
I did exactly what he did. Mm.
All right.
I also love going back to that. So I remember I told you I watched the anime Love Stage. And in Love Stage, it's all about a guy who is forced to dress up as a girl for this acting bit. And next thing you know, the actor that was with him fell in love with him,
Okay.
or with her, thinking it was
Okay.
her, but it's him.
Yeah.
And then they're willing to push the boundaries
Go
of
ahead.
their love because he's like, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, I love you and I want you. And the other one is like, but I'm a guy. I like oh, you haven't seen Welcome to NHK yet. That's, you know what? That's our next anime.
Okay.
We're gonna do something really funny, really
Oh,
out there, really great. Welcome to NHK. I'm putting it up there. That's one of our big ones for the poll. But
okay.
anyway, there's a character in Welcome to the NHK, and he's obsessed with Pupurin, which is like this character in an anime who's really, of course, typical blonde, huge tits, like, ass, everything, and he's like obsessed with her. So that's kind of who this character in Love Stage is obsessed with, is this blonde,
Mhm.
girl, and he fantasizes about that one, and so he's like, but I'm straight, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm straight. And so there's this whole like exploration.
Yeah.
But I love that. I can't understand what my husband is saying. Puts a nod to that kind of
Mhm.
yaoi anime aspect,
Mhm.
So I love that. I can't wait for a second season. I don't know where they're going to go with it for second season, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see.
Well, in
Oh,
the
because
last,
she's pregnant.
yeah, in the last one, they confirmed that she's pregnant.
Did
Right.
you catch the pregnancy test meme?
Hmm.
Yes.
I
Because
love
it took time, and I guess she didn't realize that it took a little bit longer than what was originally surmised. So when she holds it up and you see it turn positive, it's like, wow, this is a game changer. I'm really thinking they're going to take the next season in through the parenthood aspect of it. I really think the little brother is going to play a very pivotal role
Hmm.
from a daycare perspective, and then we're going to see a little bit more of that yaoi play in,
Oh, yeah.
right,
Yeah.
between the brother and his or her
Mhm.
partner, if you
Mhm.
will, right? And I think it all promises to be hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I know. And I gotta tell you, I really love that they're like 4-minute episodes. I
Mhm.
love the
Yeah.
fast nature of it because okay, so there was a show called Yami Shibai, and that was on last season or I don't know, 2 seasons ago. But basically, it's like ghost stories told in like 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And they were actually really creepy. Like, I didn't think that I could be freaked out in three
Mhm.
minutes of a ghost
Mhm.
story, but it works. And it's the drawings and everything, it's all of that. So I love that format.
Because the shorter ones, it's kind of a real toss-up as to whether they can pull it off.
Yeah.
Obviously, no, this one is great. The horror one I'd like to see.
Check
Um,
it out, Yami Shibai. I'll
they
send you
tr-
the link for that.
they tried it with Pupa a few seasons ago,
I
which
haven't
just
seen that.
failed miserably because they had to cut so much out, and I think also because there's so much in the manga that they really couldn't put on TV.
Mm. But that's
'Cause-
a common problem
yeah.
with anime in general.
and they cut it down to like 5-minute episodes, and it just didn't work. There was one I was talking about in the community a while back, Diabolical Lovers, which is a 15-minute show,
Yes.
which it was. I'm gonna say enjoyably bad, but really only enjoyably bad if you know going in that it's gonna be bad.
Really?
You
Oh,
have
I
to go
love
in
that.
expecting bad.
Awesome. Oh, cool. So maybe we should do that one.
It's
Oh, oh,
basically a girl is given to this group of vampires, basically to pacify them so they don't kill off the community. And she doesn't know what she's being handed over to, and it's a weird twist of a harem almost, or reverse harem.
Huh.
And they're all of the typical harem, reverse harem types.
Right.
Or and kind of a boy band, and not an actual boy band, but the types, the varieties, kind of
Oh,
better
awesome.
into it.
Oh,
It's
cool.
I will say it's kind of rapey, so just be prepared for that.
Well, I mean, I was actually thinking it would be kind of rapey in general because when you said vampire harem, I actually
Mhm.
thought of. Do you remember Dancing the Vampire Bund?
No,
oh,
never saw
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah,
That one
so
I remember.
she was rapey to the guy.
Mhm.
Well, but then again, he was like supposed to be her werewolf, whatever. So, but anyway, yeah. So Diabolical Lovers, right?
Diabolic Lovers.
Diabolic Lovers. I'll
One
check
to,
it out.
one to particularly keep in mind if you've seen Orin High School Host Club.
Uh huh.
Keep those archetypes in mind when you watch Diabolic Lovers. It's kind of hilarious to see the similarities.
Okay, cool. Kind of like Vampire Night.
Okay, not familiar with
That's
that
what
one
I was
either.
thinking. Maybe Diabolic Lovers is closer to Vampire Night. Have you seen it?
No.
It's reverse harem of sorts. So yeah, definitely reverse harem. Um,
And
mhm.
Parasite.
Let's talk about Parasite. How
Because
exciting!
it got real
How
interesting
exciting
all
was
of a
that
sudden.
last episode?
It got
I
real interesting. Yeah.
loved it.
It got. It suddenly got much more interesting.
I knew. I told you, but I told you. See, because you thought it was gonna be like typical
Hmm.
crappy
He
something.
was
Like you
getting a
were
little
like,
broody.
oh, there, huh?
He was getting a little annoyingly broody.
Yeah, but I knew because Tamara Reiko. I'm really sad. Okay, if you haven't
Mhm.
seen Parasite last episode, so sorry. I'm about to spoil it. Guys, let's go on. So, the way that she's killed,
I can't believe they killed her.
I knew it was coming. And as soon as the police showed up
Mm.
in the park, I knew she was getting killed. But what I didn't expect is for her to. I mean, I saw that she was going to have an emotional connection with the baby, but I didn't know that she would go to the extent of giving the baby to him.
See, I knew
And
that was coming. I knew she was going to give him the kid. In the last episode, in 17, I saw that coming when she called him. She asked him to meet.
She showed contemplation on it, right? Like you saw that as well.
I just
yeah,
had a feeling she was going to give him the kid.
I just didn't know that she would allow herself to get killed
Yeah.
and to save the baby. That I mean, and even Migi, his right hand, was saying like, "What is she doing? Like, she can kill everybody, you know." So it
Right.
changes everything, you know. But that was something for me that I was really shocked about.
Well,
Um,
well, the baby was her parasite.
yeah,
That's the way I could describe it. The baby was her parasite. You notice how Miggy actually had a change that took place. When he saved by doing the
Yeah.
heart resuscitation and
Right.
giving some of his cellular structure over. Right. So okay, you have that parasitic aspect of it. For her to have a baby, it put it
Yeah.
in reverse. The baby actually was
Hmm.
parasitic to her and infected
yeah,
her with feelings.
Hmm.
for sure.
It's the
I
opposite of what happened to Shinichi when he was saved by Miki, right?
Right.
yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, then it's really fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see where they're gonna go next with it.
Particularly with the ending.
Yes, yes.
Because
So
they killed Kana a few episodes ago, and now we have someone who presumably has the same ability.
yeah,
Hmm.
Because that was the most disappointing part of that seeing Kana killed, is that ability had a lot of potential.
I really wanted to know more about Kana, and I wanted that to develop more. So I was also disappointed with that too. But I'm curious to see where this goes because now essentially his secret is being revealed. You know.
And we have
So
a serial killer who can tell who's an alien.
yeah,
Yeah.
That could be fun.
I think we'll see. Well, we have what, five days
Yeah.
to find out.
Mhm.
There you go. Okay.
Um, one more thing. So I've been watching Alabama Zero, as I told you before. It was garbage, the first half of it, the first season,
Okay.
and now it's getting more interesting.
All
For
right.
sure. Alabama Zero has it's established a more of an emotional connection with Inaho. There's more background and there's more clarity when it comes to explaining the reasons why Inaho is so intelligent or Inaho has an ability to work cataphracts and have all this precision. And it's partly now because of this eye. He has a cybernetic eye. So, and their question like of his humanity, I think he's actually become more human because of the eye. So, if you haven't watched it, definitely do. It's interesting. I'm not going to say it's the best,
Hmm.
but it's definitely interesting. And Fate Stay Night, you got to jump on that train. The only reason why the art is so beautiful. Like
And and I don't need to watch Fate Zero first.
you should, but
Should, but don't have to.
we'll do it here.
Okay.
We're going to do it here
All
because
right.
You don't have to. I went through the entire Fate Stay Night first, so
Mhm.
it's either or. I mean, there's
Okay.
benefits to doing it either way.
It helps, but it's not necessary.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I would say that. So
Also, want to mention an anime that you mentioned last night on Google Plus on on your account. Um,
my bride is a
My
mermaid.
Bride is a Mermaid. Watched the first 4 episodes last night. Loved it. Completely not what I was expecting. I was expecting this cutesy little thing, and it's
Yeah.
very influenced by I get a lot of Cromartie High School, a lot of Fooly Cooley, some Excel Saga, a lot of that sort of side of things, the weirder side that I love.
I
Um,
actually
a bit of
I
JoJo's.
relate more to another anime. It's called Good Luck Girl. Bin
Okay.
Boom Gami, Bin Boomagam, something like that. Anyway, Good Luck Girl is parody. It's hilarious. It's about a girl who has like too much luck, and this goddess has to come and take it away from her. It's the
Oh, right.
funniest shit I've ever watched. It's great parody. It throws some Death Note references out here and there. It throws some Code Geass references. Like so, especially if you watch anime, like you'll catch some of K-On! You get a little bit, or not K-On! I'm sorry. What is it called? No, I think it was yeah. I'm thinking K-On! So it's got like cutesy references here and there. Really funny. I wish the show continued, but they didn't continue it.
There's
So
a minor reference to a Darkstalker character, the game Darkstalkers. I don't know if you ever played that before or not, but
no.
the antagonist, the one who takes her luck away, who siphons her luck,
Yeah.
she looks like one of the Darkstalker characters in that, the classic ghost with the
Yeah.
cursed seal. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. I actually was thinking it also she also has a little bit of a Death Note reference too in terms of like them being the Shinigami
Shinigami.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So that I like my bride is a mermaid though. Definitely
There's
fun.
also I'm getting a
Definitely
lot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Mermaid.
Hmm.
fun.
Interesting.
So check that out if you haven't. Anybody else who wants to watch it?
Mhm.
So on that note, I guess we're gonna say adieu for now.
All right.
We've got episodes 20 through 23. We're almost done,
Mhm.
and then we gotta include the movie.
Well, the movie and those last 2 episodes that were that different show that when they got canceled, are we covering those? For those 2 weeks they kind of got canceled.
No.
We're not
Oh,
covering that. Okay.
No. We can cover it. I didn't
Okay.
even realize that. So,
'Cause if I
cool.
recall, and it's been a while since I've looked it up. It was, I think, during the run of the series. There
Mhm.
was, I think there was some kind of tragedy that happened during the run of the series, and they preempted it effectively with this other show for 2 weeks. By this, it was basically a joke that they put out there because they didn't want to show Bebop because something had happened in the next episode that would have been a sensitive issue, if I'm recalling that correctly. Anyway, there's 2 episodes of another show within the run of Bebop.
Cool. We'll
cool.
check it out. We'll see where we can find it and we'll check it out.
Definitely.
So on that note, if you guys have anything else to add,
That's it.
That's it
all
for me.
right. Well, happy weekend,
Okay.
happy whatever.
Mhm.
What is this thing called again
I
tomorrow?
don't want to. I'm going to do everything in my power to ignore its existence.
Oh yeah,
Don't worry
and
about it.
also I did want to call out that Katsucon is actually taking place in the DC area, right near their harbor.
Oh,
So yeah,
cool.
yeah, and anyone who's in the DMV area and are convention goers, you may want to check it out. I am going to make a stop over there tomorrow in my Doctor Who cosplay. So
Awesome. Take
Which
pictures,
doctor?
post it. I'd love to see it.
Which doctor?
you said which doctor?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I usually
No.
go as yeah, I usually go. It ranges. I can either do 10 or 11,
Nah.
or depending on if you believe in a war doctor or not,
Mhm.
11 or 12. Yeah.
Cool. Post some pictures. That's awesome.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a crazy weekend here in Key West.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I will be avoiding it.
Mhm.
I'll probably be watching my Bride is a Mermaid.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So, all right, guys. Well, have a happy Friday night
Have a good
and
night.
weekend. And Tuesday we'll try and
Yep.
same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
All
sounds good.
right. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Jenny.
Jenny.